They say revenge is a dish best served cold. I say it's best served with a real estate contract and a cashier's check. My name is Frank Castellano, 73 years old, and I've been called a lot of things in my life. Ruthless businessman, self-made millionaire, stubborn old bastard. All true, but the one title I've always held sacred is father. So when my son-in-law decided to humiliate me in front of his entire family, he made the biggest mistake of his privileged little life. Let me back up. I grew up in Brooklyn with nothing but holes in my shoes and fire in my belly. By the time I was 40, I owned 17 properties across 3 states. I didn't inherit a dime. I earned every brick, every deed, every victory through blood, sweat, and 18-hour days. My daughter Jessica grew up wanting for nothing, but I made damn sure she knew the value of hard work and respect. Then she met Derek. Derek Whitmore III. That should have been my first warning sign. His father owned a chain of car dealerships, and Derek managed one of them barely. He was handsome, charming, and had never been told no in his entire life. Jessica was smitten, and against my better judgment, I gave them my blessing. I even bought them their starter home as a wedding gift, a beautiful colonial in the suburbs, worth about $650,000. Here's where I made my tactical error. I put the deed in Derek's name only. Jessica had insisted, saying it would make him feel like a provider, like a man. I should have seen it then, the way Derek's eyes lit up, not with gratitude, but with possession. But I was trying to be the supportive father-in-law, not the controlling one my daughter feared I'd become. Fast forward 5 years. Jessica and Derek have 2 kids, my grandbabies, ages 3 and 5. I see them every Sunday for dinner. Life is good, or so I thought. 3 weeks ago, I attended Derek's father's birthday party at their country club. Big fancy affair, 100 guests, ice sculptures, the works. I wore my best suit, the one I'd worn to meet the mayor when I donated a building for the new community center. Everything was fine until Derek got a few whiskeys in him. His brothers and cousins were holding court in the billiards room, telling stories and being loud. I walked in to join them, to be social, and Derek was in the middle of some story about a business deal. So I told the guy, "You take my offer or you get nothing," Derek was saying, chest puffed out. Just like my father-in-law taught me, Frank Castellano doesn't negotiate, he dominates. I smiled. It was actually nice to hear, until he kept going. "Of course, the old man's losing his touch these days," Derek said, and his brothers laughed. "Last month, he tried to give me investment advice. Can you imagine? The guy still uses a flip phone and writes checks for everything." I just nodded and smiled, patted him on the head like the senile old fool he's becoming. And then he demonstrated. He actually patted the air above his head like I was a child or a dog. Then he did it again and again. His brothers were howling. I counted 30 times he made that condescending patting gesture while his family laughed at the senile old fool. Something inside me went ice cold. Derek finally noticed me standing in the doorway. His face went white, then red, then he laughed it off. "Frank, I was telling the boys about." I held up my hand, "Save it." I walked out of that country club with my head high and my rage burning like molten steel. Jessica called me that night, crying, saying Derek was drunk and didn't mean it, that he was mortified. I told her I loved her and I'd call her tomorrow. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my study, the same study where I'd built my empire, and I thought about respect. About how I'd spent 50 years earning it, building it, teaching my daughter its value. And how this spoiled little punk who'd never struggled a day in his life thought he could mock me, diminish me, humiliate me in front of his family. The next morning, I made 3 phone calls. First to my lawyer. Turned out, when I'd gifted Derek and Jessica that house, I'd kept a very specific clause buried in the fine print, a clause that said, if the property was ever used as collateral without my written consent, I retained the right to reclaim the deed. Derek had refinanced 8 months ago to buy a boat. He never asked my permission. He probably never even read the original documents. Second call to a real estate investor I knew. Cash buyer, quick closes. Third call to Jessica. I told her I needed to come by and get some old family photos I'd stored in their attic. Could she leave the garage code? She said, of course, that she and Derek would be at work and the kids at daycare, but I should make myself at home. I did. While Derek was at the dealership, probably telling more stories about his brilliant business acumen, I was meeting with my lawyer and the buyer in Derek's dining room. We spread the papers across the table where I'd shared Sunday dinners with my grandbabies, where Derek had pretended to respect me while planning to mock me behind my back. The sale was legal, binding, irrevocable. By the time Derek came home at 6:30, the house was no longer his. The new owner had generously agreed to give them 30 days to vacate. I thought that was fair, considering Derek had given me 30 seconds before humiliating me in front of his entire family. My phone exploded with calls, Derek screaming about lawyers and lawsuits, his father threatening me, Jessica sobbing, begging me to explain. I only answered when Jessica called. "Sweetheart," I said, "come to my house. Bring the kids, we need to talk." She came. The kids played in my yard while I showed Jessica everything, the original deed, the refinancing documents Derek never mentioned to her, the clause he'd violated, the legal sale. "He stole from you," I told her. "He used the house I gave you both as collateral without permission, without even telling you. And then he mocked me, treated me like a joke." Jessica cried, but not for the reasons I expected. "I know what he did at the party, Dad. I heard about it from his cousin's wife. I was going to talk to him about it, but then this happened and," she looked at me with red eyes, "you could have talked to me first, to us." "Would he have listened?" I asked quietly. She had no answer. That night I drafted a new document, a deed for a different property, a bigger, better house I owned across town. I put it in Jessica's name only. She could let Derek live there if she wanted, but it would be hers. Her decision, her power. Derek called the next day, sober, scared. "Frank, please, I was drunk, I was stupid. I'll apologize, I'll do whatever." "You'll learn," I said. "You'll learn that respect isn't given because someone's old. It's earned through character. You'll learn that I didn't build what I built by being a senile old fool. And you'll learn that in this family, we don't humiliate the people who love us." "I'll lose everything." "No," I said, "you'll lose one house. I lost my respect in front of your entire family. You're actually getting a bargain." I hung up. Jessica and the kids moved into their new house last week. Derek's living in an apartment, attending marriage counseling, and working on becoming the man my daughter deserves. Whether he succeeds isn't my problem anymore. As for me, I'm 73 years old. I still use a flip phone. I still write checks. And I still know exactly how to protect what's mine, including my dignity. They call me a stubborn old bastard. I wear the title with pride.